Welcome back to another segment of Behind the Scenes of the Waltons. If you are enjoying these, please do hit like and subscribe. Today, I want to pay tribute to Richard Thomas because he's having a birthday. So, this segment is about my big brother. The relationship between John Boy and Mary Ellen was always one of my favorites on the show. All the bickering and teasing, and yet they would support each other through thick and thin as siblings and as family members. So we had a lot of fun. And it started right from the beginning in the homecoming when we're cracking walnuts and Mary Ellen goes off on a rant and because John Boy has smacked her. And I've been asked about that, how I felt about that. It was fine. I had so many layers of clothes on. I don't even think I felt it. But it certainly was not a harsh smack, and nor did I feel at that point. I have siblings, so I didn't think twice about it. But then he also tried to be supportive when he was milking the cow and I was carrying on about, this and that in the world and everything. And he sort of made a comment and tried to be nice about when I said, what good is all of that if you're not growing, I was self-conscious about my body. And he had a comment about, well, don't worry, they'll grow, and I'm like, what? He said, your bosoms. And I remember we shot it two different ways. One, the director he wanted me to try having a little sense of almost kind of being grateful. Like that was reassuring to have John Boy say that. And we tried that. And then the other one was the one that we ultimately used where I sort of roll my eyes and again, a trademark of Mary Ellen. And I don't know whether I wasn't able to pull off grateful or whether ultimately in the edit they thought that the eye rolling made more sense or played better, but that's how it ended up in the final take. John Boy always had that challenging position of being the oldest and having to take on responsibilities in regards to his younger siblings, whether it was caring for them or also being kind of a third parental, not really parental, but authoritarian figure in our lives to kind of keep us in line. So, he could get just as frustrated with Mary Ellen as when she sold the typewriter accidentally and yelled at me. And that scene was a really intense one and very emotional. And I remember Richard, when we were filming, on my close-up, just really yelling at me and doing everything he could to help make it be as easy and realistic a scene for me to play as possible. So I always appreciated that from Richard as a fellow actor, that he was so generous and always wanting to do everything he could to give his best performance and help the other actors in a scene to be able to do their best work and to play a scene as real as possible. Also in the quilting, when he came up and had that chat with me in the attic when I am hiding out from the quilting, I'm not going to attend. And it was a beautifully written scene. And I thought because of that, it also was played really well. That where Mama had not been able to influence Mary Ellen, nor had Grandma, that John Boy ultimately taking a different perspective and pointing out a different frame of mind, particularly for me to view as Mary Ellen, that was the turning point for her to say, oh, I hadn't really thought about that, that it really wasn't just about how Mary Ellen felt about it, but what Grandma was trying to do. So I thought that was really a standout scene that I had a chance to play with Richard. In the Easter story, when John Boy teaches Mary Ellen how to dance, that was a lot of fun, that we're sort of dancing, but I'm not really looking at it. And Mama says, oh, you have to smile. And then we're sort of pretending to smile at each other. And I had a lot of fun with that scene. And then there were any number of times when the Waltons went to barn dances and various different things. And so a number of times over the seasons that Mary Ellen and John Boy did dance together at other sort of parties. And I always had fun because Richard is very graceful and a really good dancer. So I always enjoyed dancing with him. In The Awakening, when Mary Ellen has had the disappointment of the young college student that grandma sends away, and then she has the shed for a while and decides it's too lonely out there. But ultimately, by the end of it, John Boy hands me the yellow roses and says they're for me. And just an unusual but sweet moment between a brother and sister. I know I've had some moments with my own brother at times that were particularly touching. There was a time when I did a tennis tournament and I sprained my ankle, and my brother was with me. He had come with me as my sort of plus one for the weekend, and I was staying in a kind of a two-story sort of probably townhouse type loft situation, and the bedroom I was sleeping in was upstairs. And we came back from the end of this evening, and my ankle was so swollen and sore because I hadn't been able to have it up and iced for the evening. And I'm like, oh, great, this is going to be great trying to get up the stairs. And he looked at me, he says, you're not that heavy. And he picked me up and he carried me up the stairs. So those personal moments in my own life with my own brother mean a lot to me. And to have those sorts of relationship situations reflected on the Waltons made it really sweet to play some of those scenes. Or in the Dust Bowl Cousins, when John Boy fights Job because it's sort of to protect Mary Ellen that Job has made unwelcome advances, and John Boy is willing, that's something he's willing to fight for, and yet John Boy wasn't one to engage in fights. So to feel that you have a brother who is there for you, I thought was really sweet. A few of the teasing scenes that we had, it's again right from the beginning in the hunt, when John Boy doesn't want to go out and shoot, but he's going to go on the turkey shoot, and Mary Ellen comes up behind him and startles him, and then pretends to be shooting, pow pow pow, and or in again, in The Homecoming, the scene with the missionary lady outside the store with the Bible verses, our sort of little competitive thing back and forth. And we, Mary Ellen and John Boy, sat next to each other at the table for most of the seasons. And so we had a lot of those sort of little opportunities to have moments in reaction to different things because of that. And so a lot of fun to be had there. When we filmed the final reunion movie, A Walton Easter, and Mary Ellen is now a doctor and delivers John Boy's twins. And I think I've talked about how my own son was about 10 or 12 weeks old when we filmed that. And so he was on set with me a fair bit, at least in my dressing room. And so I was also able to introduce him, my son, to the members of the cast and get pictures of him being held by a number of my castmates, including Richard. So that's a sweet memory of that time. And Richard's youngest son, Montana, was born during the filming of that reunion movie. So he and Devin are only about 12 weeks apart, although they've never had a chance to meet in person. But who knows? These real life events just are so intertwined with all of the work that we did together. So it's very special. Real life events have just abounded during the time that we've known each other, and the number of times I have gone to see Richard in theater productions, whether it was in Los Angeles or I would go down to San Diego and see him, or I was up in San Francisco to see him do To Kill a Mockingbird, or just any chance that I get to see him on stage is always such a treat. He's such a joy to watch on stage, in New York, in Connecticut. It's been a lot of different places because Richard does a lot of theater. So we've had those chances to see each other. And then, some of the Walton events over the years that we have been able to attend together. We were both at the screening for the remake of The Homecoming a few years ago. And this picture is from the sort of red carpet at that event, just one of those moments of, oh, there we are, there you are. So it's always so wonderful whenever we get to see each other. So for his birthday, I just wanted to do this shout out and this special tribute to him because he's been such a wonderful part of my life for so many years. And I'm so grateful to have him in my life. So happy birthday, Richard. Thank you for joining me for this little special segment of Behind the Scenes of the Waltons, as I wish Richard Thomas a very happy birthday. I'll be back with more Behind the Scenes of the Waltons and more Ask Judy and more special guests. Thanks for watching.